Hello, good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to the show. It is the Business X-Ray Show. Once again, we're here to share with you ideas, tips on how you can make it in the business world. But most importantly, one of the areas or the key end results we're looking at is how to actually make you self-sustaining. And others can call it wealth. But that is what we're looking at, because many people are working and many people are getting the money, but not many actually sit in the space of comfort, or what you would call wealth people. Now with me in the studio, as usual, I have Charles Ochichi, the Executive Director, Enterprise Uganda, resident coach. Charles, you're laughing at that.
I'm just laughing at the statement.
Yes, yes.
But I'm so happy to be here again this afternoon.
Yes.
And thank you so much for the feedback we're getting. The feedback is so good. People are actually looking for what we call ideas to take and use. Practical, applicable ideas and suggestions. Business X-Ray, Charles, is such a beautiful platform to be associated with.
Indeed, indeed.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Now, today we have a very important topic. It's a topic that relates to loans, and we're looking at how to take a commercial loan and develop as a result. Now, we all appreciate that it's one thing to take a loan and another to actually make the best out of it, to optimize, the benefit out of that particular loan. Of course, every other day we hear and read in the papers people who have lost property because, one, they could have mismanaged the loan, or they could have misread a few aspects about the loan or the business where they invested that money. So today we want to look at that. Now, I need to mention this, that Charles has a very strong grounding in banking, but at the same time, of course, mentoring business people and entrepreneurs. And today is going to help us unpack that very critical subject. And as usual, we're going to have a space where you're going to be part of this discussion, because we want to make it as practical as possible. Now, coming as it is, it's coming at a time, Charles, when we're talking about the 200 billion rescue fund for small and medium enterprises. It's a kitty which government, through Minister of Finance, is putting up to help, businesses that were affected grossly by the COVID-19 pandemic, especially the associated SOPs, the lockdowns and everything. Let's start there, Charles. I don't know what, for starters, because I'm sure there could be some listeners, the business community, who are probably hearing this for the first time, or others have heard about it, but in general terms. Let's look at the highlights of this 200 billion rescue fund.
Thank you so much, and I am so happy to be giving an overview about the 200 billion. First and foremost, the 200 billion is coming from two parties. Government is giving 50%, which is 100 billion. The other 50% is coming from commercial banks supervised by Bank of Uganda. That tells you a story that this is not your donation. It's going to be money that you are going to pick and return. That's the first part about it. And it is supervised by Bank of Uganda. Specific terms and conditions to apply for this money include the following. Number one, you must be a business person already running an enterprise with a turnover between 10 million and 100 million per annum. Employing between 5 staff to 49 staff. And you should already be in the banking industry. In other words, you are one of the customers of the 21 or 22 banks and other microfinance deposit-taking institutions supervised by Bank of Uganda. The loan ceiling, the maximum you can borrow is 100 million. There is no minimum. In terms of the interest rate, up to 10%. If your bank chooses to go below 10%, clap for yourself.
Well and good.
But otherwise, 10% surely is such a big deal. It's excellent. So interest rate is 10%. The other aspect about it you might be asking is, what is the loan duration? Loan duration is a minimum of 6 months, maximum 4 years, with a maximum grace period of 1 year. Those are the highlights about this facility. Now, the other things I shouldn't miss are this, that one, the business must have prospects of recovery. And that question is going to be answered by the borrower. We are giving you this money. Will this business that went almost into limbo pick up when we inject resources into it? Then 2, the decision to ultimately give you that money or not to give you that money is your banker, who is participating in giving 50% of the money. The party to assess your credibility and your eligibility to finally go in there and take this money, again, it's your banker. Lastly, there is need for collateral security. So those give you a good picture about the 200 billion.
200 billion and how it is. Now, maybe who is eligible? Who are they looking at? Are all players in different sectors eligible for this?
They have said it's open to all sectors. They have given priority to agriculture. But again, when you look at the criteria where they are saying, ultimately, it's your banker to determine whether you qualify or not. So you go there, report to your bank and tell them you have a school, you have a restaurant, you're a dealer in produce, whatever your business is. They are likely to look at the business aspects of your enterprise.
Good.
And that means everybody is largely eligible. But they put one caveat though. They said if you have already benefited from another public funded facility called Agricultural Credit Facility in Bank of Uganda, you don't qualify for this one. And the other one's bigger, but much more difficult to get. But I also want to add to the Ugandans that normally when you get a facility which is so friendly and it's almost open for everybody, number one, the chances that you are going to be the beneficiary are not going to be that a given. You are too many.
Everyone wants to get in.
Everybody will want to get in. People will even tone down their sales and say, I'm also within 100 per year. But maybe it was in $1 billion. But wanted to access the 100 million. So it tones it down. So it's going to be very tough to be one of the beneficiaries.
And it's good because, especially for the listeners of this show, the Business X-Ray show, because what we've been doing, Charles, since 2020 is to give people tips on how to prepare themselves for such opportunities as and when they come. And, and I think a lot has actually come down, you know, to most of these businesses that are watching this show.
And I want to pick it from where you've just said. Use this facility to try and build up a profile for yourself. You may find that you are going to access only 15 million because they are saying 100 million and below. You might access 15 million. Like Yusuf, who called me, who sent a message to me and said, Mr. Chichi, I want to access 15 million. Yusuf could access that money. But use this opportunity to build a profile which will show that you took 15 million, you were given 2 years, you paid within 2 years. Nobody called you to remind you about repayments. You do that, Yusuf, before that loan is fully paid, your banker will call you and tell you now you qualify for 30. And that I guarantee you it will happen because I've been a banker. It's difficult to get somebody who takes a loan facility and tells you that I've signed the agreement to pay it within 2 years. And within the 2 years, as per the agreed installment the person is paying, unless it is a salary loan. Because there it is, the payer of the managers automatically takes the money to the person who will deduct it.
It's like an arm of God interrupting the flow. And
that is true.
Yes. No, Charles, and I think now that is good. It's a good preamble. We can now look at the topic for the day. Of course, we're looking at access to commercial loans and how to make the best of these loans. And you'll agree with me, Charles, that even before we go into the benefits of these loans, just being eligible, being credit worthy, as your bankers call it, takes certain effort and certain preparation, deliberate actions on the side of the business person.
Very true.
I really wanted us to start there before we look at the benefits.
Very true. So I want people to know that bankers are into business of lending money. And that's the most attractive asset of all the various types of assets. You can have an asset called a building and a technology, whatever, human resources. But cash is the most attractive. Because it's the most attractive, people tend to put all types of statements, confidence to make you release that money to them. And banks over time have gone through that kind of cosmetic dressing up of an application. So they have learned that there are certain basics which will indicate that this one here will pay us. If it is business, one of them is, where is your bank statement? You've been making sales weekly, daily, monthly. It should be passing somewhere. Where is it passing? Give us the banking statement. Number two, we also want to know, show us the records that indicate how the business has been growing. We do not want to bring this money to an enterprise that is talking so well on paper, but we are not able to confirm the talking by looking at audited accounts. And I've just added another thing there. First of all, I've said, keep records even just for your own good. Where are they? Two, for the sake of a bank that has not been part of your records, can we get a third party to confirm what you have written is correct? Audited accounts. Three, then banks will be saying, okay, this is where you have been. Where do you want to go? And how does our money make that different? Your projection of where you are intending to go, your business plan. And I hate to use the word business plan because some people start saying, you know,
it may sound so big.
Yeah, now to write that document, all we're saying is, where are you going to go in the next 2 years with a loan of 2 years that you are taking away? Take us through those steps.
The clarity of vision and what you want to achieve.
Exactly. Why is that important? It's important because you are the one going to implement that business. You are the one going to serve the customers.
Yep.
The bank has just released the money, and you go away completely free in the streets with the bank money. Nobody comes to wake you up in the morning. Nobody comes to tell customers, please go the other side. The story is resting on you.
Yep.
So now that brings an element of trusting the person who has come to take the money. Bankers want to confirm they can trust you with public money. Public money because a bank has opened its door, depositors have deposited money there, they have left to the bank to determine who takes it as a loan.
Yep.
And for Bank of Uganda, they will be saying, whoever has deposited their money with you, anytime they want it, within the normal banking rules, give it to them. Don't tell them that we gave it to a certain Semakula. He promised to bring it last week. He has not yet brought it. Call us again next week. We shall be chasing for Semakula. Nobody is interested in that story. You took Semakula's money. You gave it to a certain Omoding. Deal with your Omoding. Semakula wants his money. So can we trust you to take this money, use it, and bring it back without us searching and looking for you?
Very good. Now, that leads me to another question, Charles. You've had, even I think during our previous session here, you know, the number of callers, responders were saying, you know, I fear loans. I don't want to take loans. If there's a chance that I don't go in that direction, maybe I need to take that route. Just help us understand the benefits of loans, and also try to help the viewers allay the fears in loans. In other words, when should I borrow?
Excellent question. And it's important for you to make sure that the ideas I'm going to submit, you tick the box somewhere in one of those areas. These are the scenarios that can lead you to go and take a loan. You are running your hotel, call it Serena Hotel. You want to go and open a branch in Arua and in Kasese. And it should be done within the next 2 years so that you benefit from the oil boom that is coming up. How does a hotel owner quickly expand to tap into such an opportunity by just relying on the night payment from the existing facility. The existing facility may be having 150 beds, and it comes on a night, one night at a time. The other side you need is 2 facilities ready in 2 years. So a loan will give you opportunity to take advantage of expansion and development.
Yeah.
That's number 1. So ask yourself, when I took that money, did I expand? Did I get better? But it could also be a loan you take to modernize, rehabilitate, improve operation of an existing facility. You have apartments in Nakasero. They have been giving you income for the last 10 years. The tenants in the apartments are saying, this is a good location. But the neighborhood now is getting more modern and more prestigious. You are still behind. Please, can you improve these apartments? Now, using the monthly payment from the tenants, you might not be able to do that quickly and let customers enjoy the facilities. So you say, let me take a loan to restore my apartments and bring a certain modernity to them. Second reason you should take a loan. You took that loan, did it make you better and fit into the market? And if it made you better and fit into the market, your cash flows will stabilize and get better. Number 3, you may be saying that, you know what, me, it is not one of those 2. I actually have a business whereby I get paid by my customers after every 90 days. But in between here and now, I have another deal. The customers who have made already agreement that I will be paid every 90 days. But there is a deal right here for me to undertake, another very good one. So what do? I go to my bankers and just say, Mr. Banker, give me a bridging finance loan. Bridging, in other words, I'm waiting for this 90 days for my supplier to pay me or my customer to pay me.
But I have this.
Can you bridge me to this opportunity in the meantime? Bridging finance, very short, but takes to take advantage of a very lucrative deal. By the time this money comes in, you're able to pay off these people here. The banker is happy. You have also taken on another good opportunity at the other end. Excellent. The another scenario where you might be able to say, I need a loan is if your working capital has always been, say, maybe for each wedding, it's just 5 million. But this time you have got 3 weddings going on at the same time. So your working capital is stretched. So you now need to take working capital to cover this expanded business operation.
Opportunities.
In other words,
so that kind of thing.
I want to harass any Ugandan who is always having a working capital loan. That's a fixed figure for the entire year. What are you doing? We gave you a working capital loan. It has a turnover of maybe a week or 2. But you are all the time having a fixed amount of 3 million working capital up to the end of the year. What's going on? That 3 million should have said, come in because you have expanded. If not, I'm now reading another story about you. You are not paying your suppliers. Suppliers should be able to give you some items on credit. You supply your customers, they pay you later. Then the customers pay immediately, but then you pay the suppliers later. But if all the time, each time you have got a deal to undertake, you must run to the bank, you have trust issues. One of the sources of reliable working capital is suppliers credit.
Great.
You have been in the market for 7 years. Nobody wants to supply you items and wait for 2 weeks. You have a problem.
Very good. Dear viewers, we're looking at how to access loans, but then most importantly, how to make that loan or financing work for you as a business entity, but then also as an individual. Now, you're going to be part of this discussion. We're going to flash a number on the screen. As usual, you're going to send your questions, comments, or suggestions, and we'll be responding to those as we move along. Now, Charles, there's a very interesting group, and I would like to categorize it as a group that doesn't fear loans. And that's a group of salaried workers. Yeah. And I think bankers like them a lot. They fall in the category of, loans that are not backed by collateral.
Yeah,
there's a term
safe.
they used.
Yeah.
So, unsecured lending.
Correct.
There are many. Actually, if you did a survey of most employees who have been, in stable employment for the last 3 years, at least 80% will tell you they've got a loan. Now, what they use that money for is another story.
Yeah.
So, I want you to speak to that category of people. Because you find someone, they get the job today, the following day, of course, the bankers will come around, hooking the different loan products, and the guy is on board. We normally want it to buy a car and a few other items. What can you tell such a category of a borrower?
Let me start from the lessons we pick from that scenario you have just painted, that the moment you have a regular income, and it is possible for a bank to capture that regular income, the risk is gone. We now do not mind whether you have a collateral, whether you are going to do business. We're only saying, what is the loan, the salary like? Will it pass through the account?
Yes.
If that is done, the major risk has gone.
Has gone.
It speaks to something fundamental about banking.
Yeah.
Banking is about eliminating or reducing the risk of default. So each time you hear people saying bankers are bureaucratic, bankers are this, bankers are this, bankers are thieves, look at the way they all line up for anybody with a salary. Literally, they harass you.
Yeah, literally.
Literally, they will tell you know what? Please, we can give you your money in 24 hours. And they are not asking, what purpose are you going to use it for?
They are not interested.
They are also not asking, what happens to you after you have taken to this money?
Yeah.
They are not interested. They are only simply saying, this is extremely secure. And if these people want this money, let's give it to them. So, that tells you one aspect about what you need to sort out when you walk to your bankers. Remove the element of a potential risk of defaulting to pay. Once that one's gone, no banker will hesitate to touch you. They will touch you, and in fact, they compete for you. So now let me go to the person who is going for a salary loan. When you go and pick a salary loan, all you are telling bankers is that, Mr. Banker, I get this money after every 30 days. But I now want to get it a bit ahead of those days. I want to actually eat my money, which is going to come in the next 120 days. I want it now.
That's what I was looking at. You're actually eating your money, not even.
Now.
Yes.
Now the bankers will say, that is interesting.
Yes.
If that is what you intend to do, how do we share that money that you are supposed to be paid in 1 year's time? For us now to advance you that money so that you eat it now, we're also going to take part of that money from you. In other words, you are inviting the bankers to share with you your salary. Now the question is, as you invite the bankers to share with you your salary, ask yourself, this money that I've received so early, and I've invited bankers to share it with me, what am I going to do with it so that it compensates for that money I'm giving away to the bankers? If you answer that question beautifully, take the money.
And
take the money.
Eat the money as well.
Yes. But if you have invited the banker to say, you know what, give me that money, it is mine. It's like, you know, I wanted to get it early, but my employer says they can never give me. The only way I can now get that money early is through you.
Yeah.
You give me the money for the full year ahead. I want to eat it now. The employer is saying, we will not do it until you have first worked. The banker said, now let me take the risk. When assuming that you are going to be working for the next 1 year, that's the risk now the banker is taking.
Yeah.
The money has arrived. I want the taker of a salary loan to answer a fundamental question. To what extent is this money that you have taken ahead of your offering labor going to generate more reward or more return than the interest you are paying to the bank? Answer that question soberly, calmly, directly. The banker is saying, I'm going to take away 25%. You should be now saying, I'm taking this money, I will part with the 25% of my own income, but I'm going to generate 35% out of this money. If that comes through, take the money.
Great.
And if I were to add to that point, it's also an opportunity for you to start a side business which will begin to have its own banking profile with a banking statement, and over time it will begin to give you a separate profile that will tone down the risk bankers have about untested business hands.
To grow your profile, in other words.
Yes, it does.
That's beautiful. Now, a bit related to that, Charles, we have quite a number of people in senior positions that have put a foot in business. And we've seen some of these businesses thriving so long as that job still exists. And when they get out, unfortunately or fortunately, you would say, that caliber of people are creditworthy to most banks. Sometimes they can judge you based on the salary you earn or the position where you sit. And we've seen many actually losing assets the moment they jump out of that job to concentrate on business. And the number of reasons. First of all, we want to understand what brings that. Because we've seen many senior civil servants, we've had stories in the papers in the past, losing apartments, losing this and that kind of thing. And I know there are quite a number that watch this show. What kind of message would you give them as regards the topic we are discussing today?
It's a very interesting observation. I want first of all to say that when it comes to business, business has got no regard for your rank that you got in a public or a corporate world. It also has got no regard for your age. I'm now 65, I'm now 72. It has no regard for your age. It has got no regard for your level of conventional education. So business is only asking for two things for it to thrive. It is saying, where is a customer you have been serving over time and they have kept coming back and referring their colleagues to you? And they have made suppliers to love supplying you on credit. Rule number one, supply a functional solution. Rule number two, be ready to compete. Whichever business you are in, there will be a competitor. In the political arena, and sometimes also even in the conventional office job, once you have been made an accountant here, the other officers do not come and compete and try and take your job tomorrow. It's now yours for a period of time.
You've locked it in.
Yes, in the private sector, it is a battle every day to retain your space. Now, the mindset of a person who has been in the corporate world, it has come from the angle which says, so long as I have a contract, I'm safe. So long as my boss is happy with me, I'm safe. In the private sector, the boss is the customer. And that customer is available to be taken next day without him telling you that I'm being taken. And he moves on. So here's the other scenario that we need to appreciate, that salary is not synonymous with wealth. Salary is cash available for spending and investment. Now, for you to spend, that's no big deal. Just have your lifestyle and tell all the relatives you're in a particular position, let's have it good.
Or sometimes you just have to mention, I'm in this place.
Exactly. Now, investments require that you make the very things I mentioned to work. So wealth is earned at the marketplace where the customer rules. A customer is the referee on who wins and who loses. And there's no partial losing and partial winning. A customer will come and say, I'm looking for 10 trays of eggs. There are 15 people here lined up with trays of eggs. He looks at all the 15 and sees this fellow, he has the best. All the 10 will be bought in that space while all the neighbors are waiting and watching.
That's business.
That is how business operates.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing we normally have as corporate people is to try and walk in this space with the issues to do with image. I want to start in a way that shows that I've been a manager. I've been a financial controller. So you go with that ego. Remember the rules in the marketplace.
Yeah.
It's not about your rank or your whatever.
Yeah.
For you are going with that thing behind you. What does that drive you to do? Since you managed to build a house, you therefore have a security. You go to the bank, mortgage this house quickly, lift the huge money, and go and show yourself big time.
Yeah.
Have you learned the key success factors in that type of a business? What type of customers come? What are the issues you must address when it comes to suppliers? What are the issues that you must address when it comes to location? Have you mastered those? For you, it's one thing, image and big money. Very contradictory.
I hear you. I hear you. I think that's a good one. And we've also seen scenarios where, especially if you're still holding a particular office, whether in the corporate world or civil service, you might have a certain category of customers coming and patronizing your place.
Correct.
And the moment you leave that place, not because of a good service, but they want the big man to see that you are, you know. But moving on, Charles, related to that, what are the telltale signs that I may be able to service this loan or not?
Now, there are a couple of things you must be able to quickly know to determine that this loan is going to work out or not to work out. At the very beginning of taking the loan, you might find that you took 6 months chasing for this loan. Finally, it has come through. But the business you are going to put the money to had a certain peak time. The peak time has passed. Let's just look at a very simple example. Senene. It's November. November, October, December. That's the period for Senene. If you started processing money to do the lights and whatever to catch a lot of Senene, to get the insects on time, by the time they are approving the application, it is now February. And you're aiming at what? In Senene
season.
If you continue with that loan, be sure you are finished. The peak season for the business passed. But you know why Ugandans insist? It was hard to get this loan. I cannot break it. Let me just do something else.
Let the money come. We'll figure it out.
I will now see what to do. Then you begin the first day. Oh, there's somebody selling a piece of land here. How much is it? You are not even negotiating with a business ruthlessness because the money is lying.
The money is there.
You have to buy it. Bang! You have bought that plot of land out of excitement because the money is idle in the account. The bankers now start saying, the grace period is over, I want this money. You try and put back the other plot on market. The price you'll get it at is way below because the next buyer will be ruthless. So, one of the telltale signs is that, is the business for which you wanted this money still viable? If at the onset you've discovered it is not, go back to your bankers. Humbly tell them, I'm not taking this loan. I'll revive the activation of this loan in the next season. Because
actually that was going to be my next question, because I've seen quite a number of business people who get into, I remember one time I was handling a story of one of the businessmen who was into, I won't mention the name at the bank, but he was into this seasonal scholastic materials, so to speak. And after a while, he would get a short-term facility, you know, bridge financing, to actually meet the higher demand that comes with the go back to school season.
Correct.
And this time round, I think the bank missed, delayed by about a week, 7 days, and that was enough to knock him off the ground. Now, trouble began there.
If you don't have that humble spirit which says, it is okay for a borrower to say no to a loan and let it go. If you had touched even a little of it, you rather see how to deal with that little that you took, the rest give it back. it's rare to see that happen in this country.
That's right.
Ugandans believe it was hard to get it. Now I got it, I will see what to do with it. You start talking with any other person who will give you all types of ideas.
Yes.
But they said another scenario where you can actually meet problems.
Yeah.
You have taken this loan, but you have taken a loan which has been constrained by your collateral. And I will explain. It happened in a Chogam scenario where somebody had certain amount of collateral to borrow money. So what he did, he goes and asks for a loan to expand and build a good hotel facility in time for Chogam. What does he do? He over-designs the facility. Instead of putting a facility of just enough money you given your collateral, maybe instead of 100 rooms, you go for 20 rooms. This fellow gets a loan and goes for an over-designed facility. What happened? The loan was not enough to finish the hotel.
Wow.
But he put up the foundation, he put up the entire structure, he put up all the floors, put up all the rooms, plastered them, wired them, put water. Now the rooms are empty. You've not done the painting.
Yes.
You've not done the beddings. Not a single customer entered the hotel. Now this person, instead of running back to the bank and saying, you know what, I made a mistake. The money you gave me was equivalent to what my securities could give. But I put it to a bigger thing than the money could manage to make me reach a cash flow from a customer.
Yeah.
He waits 1 year. This thing is not having a single customer. 4 billion has created 800 million of interest.
Wow.
In a year. He is not, the thing is not finished. It has delivered 800 million. Another year, another 1 million, because now 1 billion. Because the other 800 million, that was interest. He's also now earning interest. By the time the bankers are now coming and saying, you man, you seem to have missed Chogam. What happened? And the fellow was deep in trouble. The loan had grown way past the assets that he had. And all his assets had to be sold. Plus the house which he had before he went to the bank. In other words, you can actually tell whether or not you will manage to pay this loan. The moment you just see that you are unable to reach the cash flows from the customers as a result of that investment. If you cannot reach the cash flows because you have over-designed the infrastructure, the project, you are not able to hire the right personnel. That loan is going to eat you up.
Yes, I hear you.
Over-designed projects can create chaos.
And I think it
in
goes
loan
back,
repayment.
It goes back to what you mentioned earlier. That clarity of vision, the plan and everything. Because that also comes in when, midway someone can change his mind and say, let's also add this.
Exactly.
Let's also do this, because there was no clear, well-structured plan right from the beginning.
Correct.
Thank you, Charles. Viewers, we're going to take a very short commercial break. We'll hold it there. When we come back, we'll be looking at the aspect of Credit Reference Bureau. We'll be looking at insurance. All these are very important components in financing, which is key for our business operations. After this break. Dear viewers, welcome back. A good afternoon once again. This is the Business X-Ray Show, and today we're looking at how to get commercial loans and then to make them work for you. Of course, we're looking at the aspect of access and utilization in a nutshell. And for this episode, I have, as usual, our resident coach, Charles Ochichi, Executive Director of Enterprise Uganda, also the sponsors of this show in partnership with the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. Now, Charles, before we went for the break, we're talking about, of course, we had discussed quite a number of issues about loan utilization, the do's and don'ts, and the like. But there's something that I wanted us to pick from. I mean, I've gone to the bank, I've got this money or this loan, and, well, I've done the project, I've reached somewhere, and I'm realizing it's not going the way it's supposed to go. what should I do?
Very good point.
In such circumstances.
Very good point.
One, to avoid getting there, but then also when I'm there.
Correct. One of the things that anybody who will be looking to take a loan must answer, and answer as honestly as possible, is a cash flow projection when you have taken that loan. What I mean is this. You've taken this loan, you want to project how the money will come back. And for the scenario of the other one, of the hotel, one of them is that to construct this hotel, I must never go beyond 8 months. After that, I'm beginning to see customers coming in. And my cash flow projection is that there will be an occupancy of 80% of the rooms at a certain price. If I do that, and I'm also having this outflow for salaries, for amenities, for loan servicing, if I compare the inflow and the outflow, I will get a positive. That cash flow, and I want Ugandans to take it seriously, must be as honest as possible. For it to be as honest as possible, here are some of the few benchmarks you can look at. The assumptions you are using, to what extent are those assumptions similar to what is obtaining in that sector where you are? If I'm talking of a hotel in Entebbe, and you're putting that hotel at $300, and it's of a certain 3-star hotel, is that realistic for the Entebbe area? You are putting 80% occupancy. You are not the first to take a hotel there. People are experiencing 40% occupancy. You are talking 80%. You've deceived yourself from day one. Avoid doctored cash flow when you are going to borrow. Rule number 1, you avoid that by being realistic. You avoid that by looking at those assumptions and be the most ruthless on those assumptions. Rule number 2 is, as you go into, like the case of the development projects, please do not go by emotions. Go for what you can manage and quickly go into getting customers to start giving you money. In other words, face your developments. You could have all the collateral you want to talk about. Oh, you know, you have the land titles, I have warehouses, I have all this. Please give me all the money I need. True. The warehouses you have, the apartments you have can give you the necessary collateral. Then you go for this huge thing. Then you start battling with an incomplete property, which will take much longer for you to start getting customers. Face development. Very, very key.
I hear you.
But let's now look at a scenario where things have really gone south. They have gone out of hand. My message to anybody in that situation is, be the first to turn up and go to the bank. Go to your bankers, tell them, I took this 4 billion, I wanted to put up a 100-room hotel. I never stole a shilling. Let's go and look at where I put the money. The bankers will go and look at it and find a shell. You tell them, no amount of all of us waiting for this shell to get completed by some miracle will make me pay you. I want us to start the recovery process at this stage. What that does is the bankers will go back and say, you know what we are treating as an asset in our books and earning interest is actually a deteriorating facility the other side. Let's take this to the board and tell the board that, you know, this facility cannot perform. The first thing the board will do, cease accruing interest. Because it's no longer functional. It's not a performing loan. It's not a performing asset. That's a good addition for you already. The next thing is, tell these fellows, you know what, if you are the ones who sell my asset, this is shell here. If it's a bank selling, most likely the buyers will think it's a giveaway asset. Allow me to sell. The buyer will pay through the bank account, take away your money, and tell me how much is outstanding.
Because most likely the bank will discount it. They are not in the business of selling assets.
They are not. And they have started making provisions on that loan asset. They have started making provisions. So if those provisions are going to match with whatever offer that's coming from the market, they are as well ready to close that book and just say, let's close it. Let's get on with our business.
As long as we've got our money.
So by you going there early, one, you have demonstrated honesty. But two, you could secure a possibility of being allowed to sell your assets and get a better price. But three, also, you could actually be given a chance to sell other properties to reduce this loan.
Yes.
To the extent that the bankers might be able to again give you another facility to finish the thing and to begin to bring you cash flows.
And the aspect of pausing that accruing interest is
correct, very important. Those are the words that banks use by saying loan restructuring. What are the options we have on the table to make this thing work? You gave us 4 houses as the collateral. What if we liquidated part of this? We're going, as a bank, we're the ones holding those titles.
Yeah.
But we're going to allow you to sell them. But should you sell them, can you put them to finish this property? The bankers are saying, we trust you. We also believe this business is going to work out. But the only mistake you made was an over-designed project. Let's sit down and reorganize the whole thing. Let's make it to move.
Beautiful, beautiful. And
so
I think
turn up.
That's very, very important because we have many entrepreneurs who also have a habit. Man just disappears.
He thinks by disappearing, a loan never rots, a loan never deteriorates, a loan keeps growing because the records are never going to disappear. You can even burn a room where the records are. They are now in the cloud.
Absolutely.
So how do you do that?
They'll be retrieved.
Yes.
Now, another interesting thing, Charles, related to that is the element of insurance. Because quite a number of loan facilities that we get from banks today, whether business or personal loans, have that cover of insurance on top of them. Now, that is one of the most misunderstood elements, and I want you to really shed good light here. Because I've heard, for instance, on the side of salary earners, you know, someone will tell you, you know, I got this loan, I paid insurance, now maybe I'm no longer working or I was demoted and that kind of thing, but the bank is on my case. Or if it's a business loan, someone would feel that, you know, if there's an insurance cover on top of that loan, in case of anything, the insurance will pick the tab. Give us an idea on that. What
a beautiful question. What a beautiful question.
The case.
And it goes to the heart of the matter. When people take money from banks, they always ask only 3 questions. I was looking for 100 million. How much have you people approved? Oh, we approved 70 because of this and this. Anyway, it's okay now. Instead of going back and saying, if you have approved 70, let me go and look at my figures. It goes to the second question. Where do I sign? The loan came back from 100 to 70. He's asking, where do I sign? The document is about to sign has 7 pages. He's looking for the page where the signature is. And bankers have since known that behavior. They will say, whereas we are taking you to the page of the signature, we also want you to now initial all the other pages, just to show that actually you have understood all of them.
Actually, what they do, everywhere there is a space for signature, they'll put an X just to mark it.
So that it's easier for you to look.
to help you move faster.
Charles, I don't know where you've lived in this city quite a bit.
No, that's what happens.
Oh my God. So that's the second question the fellow will respond to. Where do I sign? The third one is, now that the paperwork is finished, when can the money be in my account? I have a lot of issues to settle. 3 questions. He has not read the loan agreement. Now in there's an insurance certificate which covers the insured whatever risks. Typical insured risks in borrowing include one of them is key man's insurance. If you're in business, they know that this man is a key man for this enterprise to succeed. He needs to be insured. Now, key man's insurance means it can only be accessed when that key man has had 2 things happening to him. One of the 2, he died, and there's a certificate of death. 2, he has gone mad, and the doctors are saying, most likely this is final. He cannot regain his
normality. He has locked off.
Gone. Now, let's go to insurance to just sort out this loan. That is what that insurance contract was talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
The other insurance things that they are covering in there is maybe fire, the traditional things.
Yeah.
They are not covering a possibility of default or market failure. They are not covering that bit.
Yeah.
Although, of course, now in agriculture, they are trying to go to that kind of a point. But read the insurance documents. Otherwise, you sleep and think that since it's insured, I will not be responsible. Never.
I hear you.
Never.
Beautiful. Now, there's another element, still talking about loans. For salary earners, again, because of that, there's a bit of excitement, like you rightly put it.
Yeah.
Banks really like them so much. And it's easier to get more money, or what is called top-up loans.
Yes.
For that category of borrowers. As opposed to, say,
the other
categories
of loans. Yeah.
Yes. Why is that the case?
Interesting again. Banking is an interesting sector because bankers have a lot of liquidity, and I can say that on air. Banks have a lot of liquidity in this country, and they can cover a lot of our financing needs. The thing that has made banks to really be cautious is many times, many applications they receive are doctored applications. So you end up just saying, well, let's just do this, but you never know this fellow is also another liar. Let's face it. Each time you get an application from a borrower, there's a cash flow. Not a single cash flow for loan borrowing will indicate to you that look at my cash flow, I will not be able to pay you. The figures are so good that you wonder why he has even asked for less money. Should have asked for more. This thing is so beautiful.
Yes.
But those figures have got wrong assumptions. So, bankers have discovered that if we can just sort out good documentation with employers, employers pay a lot of money. And if we can get to a point where we can get at least 20% of that money, of the paycheck, 20%, it's a lot of money. Do you know how much NSSF collects per year? It is massive money, and just 15% of the total salary. Now, the bankers are also saying, if we can tap into 20% of the salary ticket, it's a very beautiful thing. Now, this is what happens. Because everybody now knows that salaries are the safest to lend against, they go and check, which company are you? Where are you getting your salary loans from? At what interest rate are they giving you? For us, we can give you 1 percentage point cheaper. So what do bankers do? To make sure that your salary loan beneficiaries do not even have a breathing space to look anywhere else. As soon as they are paid up to about 8 months out of 12, you tell them, John, you qualify for top-up. We can actually now give you, we pay up all this remaining bit here, then give you another new 12-month period. That's what they call top-up. They call it top-up, but the reality is they knock off the other one, and then they give you another 12 months. So you are fully maxed up. There is no room for you to go to another bank and take another salary loan.
You're locked in. And
they do that because it's a business.
Yeah, it is.
Now, it's up to you to know, as I said earlier on, the banker is charging you 20%. What are you going to earn out of this money we have given you? The choice is yours. So I don't blame a bank, but it speaks to the desire for banks to have avenues to lend. And those avenues are not many. So one of those that must be maximized is salary loans. So anybody who is blaming banks left and right should hear out banks. When banks tell you that our loan portfolio on salaries is a certain portion, it's because of the safety, the reliability of repayment that comes from salary loans.
Thank you, Charles.
Then the other businesses, to get a top-up, very rare. Because you are even struggling to recover your principal and your interest. You are struggling. And you are saying, anytime anybody wants to buy up this account, I would be the happiest to release it.
To let that go.
Bankers are happier to release a business account, which is giving them hell. and even discount their interest. But when it comes to salary loans, they do all it takes to protect that arena.
That space.
Because that's arena where default risk is lowest. This side, everything the person told you, it has been proved wrong. He wakes up every morning and is giving you excuses every day. And I want Ugandans to know this. That each time you hear that a banker has reached the point of selling assets of a borrower for business purposes, that borrower may be making a lot of noise. Tell the borrower, can we get a copy of the file of your loan from the bank? And we read the correspondence that has been going on from the time they gave you money. You will see the amount of communication in there where this person was told, you know, you are not in time. Then he asked for a grace period of 3 months. He was given. The 3 months went, and he has again gone back. Then he has asked, promising that he's getting money from a certain transaction. He has written. You read it is on the file. By the time bankers go and advertise
there's a lot
assets
that has been happening. Yes.
Of a borrower, the story in the file is deep and ugly.
I hear you.
And they want to part and never touch each other for a long time. And as that happens, I also want to say this. The officer who was behind bringing that loan into the bank is not sleeping. And his career is at a very, very fragile state.
And sometimes they're left in tatters, isn't it?
Correct. So many business people and borrowers have caused banking careers to get into very dark situations.
Spaces.
Yeah.
Now, Charles, a bit related to that, we've seen cases where, okay, let me put this hypothetically. If I struggle to pay a loan and I'm now asking as a business person, is it okay for me, because sometimes I may struggle because of, you know, cash flow issues today, which I anticipate to clear and get better tomorrow. So is it okay then for me to go and borrow to pay another loan?
Oh, interesting question. A very, very good question. And it has got two sides to it. First of all, bankers know that businesses are like any other game. They are borrowing on the basis of a certain future situation. And that future situation could actually change. And they will always appreciate some of those bumps. Meaning therefore that it's okay for you first and foremost inform your bankers that have been paying on time for the last 3 years, but this next 2 quarters I've got a problem. Because the person I'm supplying is also supplying to a Kenyan market, and they have refused our eggs. So we're struggling to see how that can be improved. So that situation will show that actually this fellow may not pay us. But here is a situation normally that happens. If I see a Ugandan who has borrowed and is struggling to pay, and instead, when he now discovers that this thing can never be paid because he never fulfilled the kind of business that he promised to undertake, he didn't do it. So what does he do? He goes to borrow another loan to pay an existing loan. My first question is, 1, what are the terms of the new loan compared to the terms of the old loan? If the terms of the old loan, the interest rate is higher, the demands for the frequency of payment might even be much more harsh, and you are signing that agreement, and yet this fellow had a better interest rate. This fellow has just dug a deeper pit for his enterprise to be buried.
I hear you.
But what he is looking for is at least 6 months to sleep. He has failed to sleep with the other person for so long. So if you can just get someone who will postpone that pain for 6 months, he rests, he is willing to do it.
So you, in other words, you're just digging another hole, probably a deeper one. To cover this other hole.
Yes.
Quite interesting. Charles, let's move on.
So refinancing facilities are questionable and must have clarity of purpose. And the other thing should be that the person trying to pay off your loan should be a bank who has admired your business operations and is saying, you have a very good school and your school is growing. at what interest rate are you getting from Bank B? We can give it to you at 2 percentage points lower. And we will do everything to bring you on board. At that point, you've proven your business acumen.
Yes.
Banks are competing for your business. That's brilliant.
And they're looking at that potential and opportunity.
You are going for a facility which is better than what you had. But many times, I also tell the person who is approached like that, I tell them, before you quickly jump board to go the other side, one, flag that offer to your current banker. Why? They know you much more beyond the interest rates. The other fellows are coming with just the offer of interest rates. There are many more things these people know about you. They have maybe been with you for the last 15 years. They have built you. So before you quietly shift the other end, just because of one staff who could have disappointed you, look at that offer, go to your fellow current banker, tell them that, you know, this facility, I'm paying it and I'm happy to continue paying it. But there was an offer somebody was giving me. Can you go to the board and tell them that I want to remain here? You are now in the middle where you can also say, I'm creditworthy, I can be competed for. So don't just be jumping from one bank to the other just because of interest rates.
Yes. I hear you. Now, Charles, I think we can now touch, I see quite a number of questions coming in. And in the interest of time, I really want us to look at some of these. Now, I have Adrian. Adrian is a Ugandan working in diaspora. And he's saying, thank you for this program. My question is about how to acquire a loan while in diaspora. Like I need one, but I'm not on the ground.
For Adrian, getting loans, some banks have come up with facilities specifically for people in the diaspora. So you check that within the banking industry. But two, you could also start having a relationship with one of the banks here where you routinely do your remittances or something like that, so that your banking statement begins to speak something about what you are doing in the diaspora. Banks are always asking themselves, can we trust you? And trust is evidenced by banking statement, by financial records that are audited, by the communication that the private sector is having about you. If those are not there, then you just say, I exist in California. It's very difficult to just jump in just because of the word California.
I hear you. I hear you. Now, I have Innocent Wakunga. He said he voluntarily left his job last year in October because of some reasons. But I have 15 millions in capital sitting on my bank account. He's asking a general question. Which business can he venture in? I failed to make a final decision for fear of failure. Please guide me.
That question never disappears. Which business can I do with my money? I always tell people that, one, do a business for which you're able to quickly learn how it works. Two, do a business where somebody has already been in and you can track what they are doing. And as you are tracking what they are doing in that business, establish 5 key success factors to make that enterprise succeed. For produce, for example, produce business, one of the key success factors is buy at the peak of the season. Number 2, make sure you monitor the purchases, because that's where you can buy air. Number 3, make sure that the produce in the store that you are storing to make prices to rise up is free from pests and diseases. And I'm just talking about produce, but every other business has got key success factors. Then number 4, check now what's the minimum amount of capital I need to get into this thing that now I've known how it works. Number 5, get started.
Have the courage.
Move, cross, and forget your titles as you cross that line. Go there as a beginner.
That's key. That's key. That's where we burn a lot of our money.
Correct.
Now, I have Francis from Chisas. He's saying, kindly talk about bank overdrafts. Is getting an overdraft better than getting a bank loan?
An overdraft is the most abused facility, probably after salary loans. Because salary loans, nobody even asks what you are going to do. We are just safe because the money is coming in, and for us, we shall recover it. Now, overdraft also operates like this. You go in January and say, you know what? My business has grown. Can you give me a ceiling of 10 million shillings for the entire year? What that means that you have been given an overdraft where you can overdraw your account up to 10 million between January and December. Now, if I have given you opportunity to overdraw your account in January, my assumption would have been that that money you are going to use it to make some profit. Your next overdraw should now be maybe 7 million. By the time we are in June, you should have no overdraw at all.
I hear you.
Because the profits you are making is begin to cover the need for an overdraw. But you know what happens with people? They take an overdraft for 10 million and the account is permanently overdrawn from January up to December.
Yes.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I would rather you go for a formal short-term loan in January, where you are now given 10 million, endeavor to pay it, and see where this money went.
I get you.
But the thing of just enjoying that overdraft, and the bankers also love it. They even increase it. We have increased your selling. We have increased your selling. Instead of now 10, we'll put you on an overdraft of 15 million.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I hear you. Now, I have Sam from Arua. Sam is saying, thank you, Charles, for this clear eye-opening message. I'm one person who is cursing the day I entered into an agreement to obtain a loan from one of the banks. We agreed on a mortgage facility that has a grace period to expand a business facility. To expand my business facility. I think he wanted some space because the business facility, I assume, was where he was going to draw the money to service the mortgage. I don't know how that worked. But then he said, I met all requirements, all final deed signed. To my surprise, when the first installment came to my account, I was asked to sign again and later realized I was given a business loan, which is suffocating me. Guide us on what to look out for.
Very important.
And I think it goes back to reading the fine print.
Reading the fine print. Read the document.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy for that question.
Yeah.
Ugandans, please read the loan agreement. I normally tell people that the moment you have been given a loan agreement, take it home, read it, put it aside. Yeah. Read it again after 48 hours, put it aside. Then take a family for dinner and read that agreement with the family. Yes. And tell the family that this loan, have you all understood what it is saying? If one of you is not understanding, loans are not supposed to be sophisticated and complicated. If it's too complicated for you to understand, go back and tell the fellow, please break it down for me in ordinary layman's language. Do not accept jargon to allow you gloss over very important commitments captured in the loan agreement. And I bring this because somebody one time said that when I take a loan, I suffer more stress and loss of sleep than other challenges in business. Why is that the case? And I told them that, you know, once you've signed an agreement for servicing a loan, it's done. If it is quarterly, no amount of any other explanation is needed. Interest, no amount of any other saying, you know, the interest rates are coming down is needed. It is as per what you've signed for.
Yes, yes. I hear you. I think that's quite important because that's where the mix-up comes in.
So reading and reading again. And I encourage people, please don't look at the 3 questions I earlier on said. How much money am I going to take? Where do I sign? When will it be in my account? This is laziness. This is risky. And do you know what happens when you have a loan that is not allowing you to sleep? The biggest thing you are losing out is your stability of the brain and soberness to run the enterprise. I hear you. And if you lose that one in a competitive sector, where even when you have no loan, the battle is so tough.
It's tight enough.
Now here you are where the banker is saying, please, we have given you 7 days.
It messes up your GPS.
Completely. And then they put now in the papers, it is 7 days, it is here now, in the papers.
I hear you. Now I have Prosi, or boy, she's from Gulu City.
Yeah.
She's saying, and I think it's a bit of clarification on the insurance issue we talked about. Saying the show is interesting. After paying up insurance against death, accident, and these don't happen during the term, will the bank pay back me? Will the bank pay me back?
No. That's the lady called Joy?
Yes.
Joy, thank you for your very honest question. Insurance makes business from the following scenario. They are saying we have insured certain people who, if they die, we pay off their loans. Should those things happen, the amount of money they normally pay is far bigger than the insurance you pay. The insurance is about 2%, but the loan they are going to pay is much more than that. But their counting or their bet is, of the businesses they have insured, accidents, fire, key man's death and all that, only 2% will happen.
Yeah.
The other 98% will not happen. So from there, they make some income to compensate for these two that made them pay heavily because they happened.
I hear you. Now I have someone, again, quickly there. He's saying the MD is brilliant and realistic. Allow me ask him to talk about overtrading, investing using retained profits.
I want to say this. If there be one thing that you should never ignore and you should use as a basis for your likelihood to succeed in business, it is ability to grow as a result of reinvesting part of your profit. So when people talk about retained profits, I mean, what they are talking about there is, one, you had capital that you used, you deployed it, it was 5 million, it made a profit of 1 million. Now that 1 million profit, you must not eat it all. Normally, my rule is 50% of that, put it back into the business, the other capital of 5 million. So that in your next transaction, you are not having a capital of 5.5. I mean 5 million. It is now 5.5. So retained profits is one measure of your discipline to manage your eating, to manage your lifestyle, and to appreciate the need for organic growth. If that is not happening, no amount of donations from government, from relatives, from friends, from the church, from wherever will redeem a person who routinely eats all the profit and hopes to remain growing in business. It will not happen.
I hear you. Then I have someone here is asking about the commitment fee. Is from, let me see the district here. It's actually from Kasese. It's saying some banks ask for commitment fee, and when the loan is not approved, even the commitment fee doesn't come back. I don't know
what a commitment fee is.
Yes.
There are so many types of fees banks charge. One of them is appraisal fees to appraise, and then the other one is commitment fee. We have given you a loan of 10 million. So far you have taken 2. You've not yet taken the other 8. Now, whereas you have not taken that 8, in our books we are saying you are going to come for it any time. And because you have not yet taken it, we charge you 0.5%. To say, we have committed this money for you, you have not yet taken it, but please, we are charging you 0.5%. Because ideally we shall start earning from it properly when you have taken it. Then we charge you our 20%. For us to commit this money to you and wait for you to take it, we want you to pay a bit of some money
on that,
because we would have given to somebody else.
Great.
But we're now saying, let's give it, wait for you to come and take it.
Come and take it. I have Kathy here about salary loans. It's saying, hi, it's Kathy. I'm inquiring, do I need to hustle and pay for a loan when I lose a job, a salary loan that is, if it was a salary loan?
The truth is this, and that's where, now, she's called Kathy,
Kathy, yes.
Kathy is actually bringing in the openness and the challenges, the gaps associated with salary loans. Ideally, if those salary loans were paying for themselves, even if you lost a job, it would just continue normally. It's supposed to pay itself. But because we go for the softer route of depending on our salary, and now the salary has been cut, the truth is, you must pay that money. Obviously, what the lender will do is to say, does this person who has lost a job have some terminal benefits? If they are there, please route those terminal benefits through the bank, because we want to make our final collection. And when they know that you have lost a job, they don't do now the monthly deductions. They do the entire figure, because now you are risky. Your status has changed. You used to be very risky-free when we were sure that you are still having a salary of every 30 days. Now that you have lost it, and then this bullet payment has come, the bankers will make sure that please redeem everything, because the risk profile of the borrower has changed. Now it is you now to go back and tell them that, no, earlier on it was really my salary protecting me. But I want to take you to where my restaurant is. Can we now have a side agreement, a loan that recognizes that it is for that purpose? And if there is anything that I need to put in as collateral, let's discuss that.
I'll hear you.
Bankers will always accept that discussion. Yeah.
Then someone is asking, is it possible to have a bank overdraft while you still have a bank loan?
It is possible to have 3-4 loans at the same time.
Yeah.
The only thing is that they must all be independently viable. No separate loan should be used to justify the other loan. Each loan that you have taken should be able to liquidate itself on merit.
I hear you.
Because the loan you took to open a second branch of your hotel in Kisoro, and yet you need another loan to do working capital, whatever, operations. Those two are needed at the same time. There's no big deal about that.
I get you.
And you can even take another credit facility. This time it's not cash. A credit facility called a letter of credit. When you're importing from Dubai, you make a letter of credit where you commit your bankers to pay your suppliers after the goods have arrived.
And I think it's very important that business people actually take time to understand these product
loan
lines.
Exactly. What a big... I think at some point we shall talk about those kind of things.
Yeah.
Because we have taken different types of loan products for different needs and choked ourselves.
That's right.
You go for a short-term loan facility for long-term investments.
And you're eligible for actually the other better one.
And you're eligible for it. And then, we, unfortunately also, but this is because of the pressure that happens in the banking industry.
Yeah.
The first person you meet will tell you, you just take this one. It is very good, but the officer may know there's another desk that could have served you better, but he has got targets to fulfill.
I hear you.
So you should be able to enter the banking hall and just say, this is my need. What products do you have in this bank?
Good. Charles, I want us to end on this. Very interesting one, because it's actually clear that people are watching this show. So someone is saying, my name is Desire. My question is, why is it that paying a salary loan is much costly? For example, you acquire a loan of 3 million, but you end up paying 100% interest. I don't know what it means, but well, you understand that real.
I will always say this, every loan has got an agreement. Every loan has got an agreement. So as these people are deducting these monies here, they are deducting them as per that agreement. And you've seen some bankers saying our interest rates for salary loans are this, and we give it within this number of hours. So whether it's a salary loan, whether it's any other loan, read the agreement. You'll always see it, it is there.
Very good. I have...
and the calculations are not complicated. Take your time. If you think the calculation is complicated, sit with the officer again and just say, let's just look and see. If now you are deducting this every month from my account, how much will you then have taken by the end of the year? You'll actually find as if by the end of the year, it's like they took 3 months salary out of 12 months. They took your 3 months salary from you. But it is in accordance with the agreement.
With the agreement.
The question you should answer, as I said earlier on, is when you took this money, where's the other bigger return that you have gotten that's better than what they have taken?
Great.
Answer the question.
Thank you, Charles. And I think on that note, I'm going to ask you for, your wrap-up, your final word on that. But before I do, I have Nyans Joseph here. He's saying thank you for the good job you're doing. And I have many people also thanking you for the job you're doing.
Thank you.
But the number who are also asking for your number. I think you can share that very quickly as you wrap this up.
Very good. My telephone number is 0772 699 808. My closing statement is like this. A loan is a two-edged sword. A sword which is two-edged, if you hold it from the handle, anybody in front of you will flee. In other words, a loan can make you perform so well. If you handle a sword from the blade, which is two-edged, sharp, and somebody pulls from the other side, you are finished. Loans have crushed the finest. Loans have also built the most indignified of society and made them become glorious stories of success.
Good. Thank you,
The
Charles.
responsibility is more onto the borrower.
Very, very good. Well put. How to take a commercial loan and how to develop as a result has been our topic this evening. And I'm sure you've picked very good pointers out of this. I've been your host, Charles Boji. In the studio, of course, I had Charles Ochichi, our resident coach. And I'm sure this message is very, very critical, especially at this moment, Charles.
Key.
When a number of businesses are in, someone has actually come up with a line is saying most businesses are now in reboot mode after the lockdown and now the opening and everything. So we hope this message will help you move strong and tick quite a number of boxes. Until next time, have a good evening. Bye-bye and God bless.